150 tons or something.
Are you sure?
We're on the run.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm live.
Where did mine?
All right, we're going to begin in 30 seconds. Please ensure your cell phones are off or on silent. And council members, this is just a reminder to make sure your microphones are on during session, as well as when we come back from recess.
I got over here by 30 seconds.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not that old.
It's not that, I did not see that. Here it is.
But you said 30 seconds. I was over there.
It was very impressive.
Those exercises pay off. I know. I was hoping.
All right, today is Monday, March 6th, 2023. It is a committee of the whole meeting for Barberton City Council. It is 6:01 p.m. Before we begin the committee of the whole meeting, we will be doing individual committee meetings this evening. And first up is Street, Sidewalk, and Lighting with Mrs. Angela.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call in order the Street, Sidewalk, and Lighting Committee meeting. It is 6:01. We're in council chambers. The members of my committee present, I'm Chair, Mrs. Bailey, and Mr. Griffin. All other council members are here, and others are noted on my sheet. Requested legislation, we have none. Pending legislation, we have none. And I'd like to open this miscellaneous discussion up with Mr. Shreve on the amount of patching and what's going on. Since it's not snowing, we can get some patch. Mr. Shreve?
So I had a conversation with Nina almost a week ago now, and just some statistics compared to this year to last year. I have been talking to Clay, our street superintendent, and so a week ago, last year was the first time that we were able to actually go out and get a load of hot mix to do any patching. A week ago this year, we already had over 50 tons of hot mix applied to potholes. The plants did shut down to do their maintenance last week. They reopened today, and as I was coming back into town on Worcester Road West, I saw that they had picked up where they left off last week and have patched farther down Worcester Road West just to touch that road up until we can finally break ground with the big project this year. But so again, they're about 50 tons of hot mix ahead already this year at this time of the year. So
Thank you. And that's hot mix, that's not cold mix, because it's warm enough that the plant's open and they're making hot mix, and that's what we use in the summertime. Very rarely would you use that in January or February, but because of the weather, we're using hot patch, so that should last a little bit longer. Any questions from my committee? Any questions from the body? From the audience? Mr. Best? No? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Mrs. Bailey, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Griffin, and we are adjourned at 6:04 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Angela. Next up is Environmental Health and Social Services with Mrs. Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call to order the Environmental Health and Social Services Committee. It is 6:04 p.m. We are in council chambers. I, as chair, am present, and then Mr. Gaber and Mrs. Angela are as well, and all other council members is noted on my sheet, and then all others are noted as well. So we have a requested legislation, a letter from Mayor Judge requesting legislation recognizing the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Emergency wording is requested on this one. It's not listed, but I would like to do emergency wording just because it's for the month of May. Did everyone get the letter that's attached? Both letters? Okay. Any questions, any discussion on that? Okay. Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make a motion to call.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's no new pending legislation. Miscellaneous discussion, so, we have a meeting for the MAC group on the 15th. They are appointing the Norton board member, director. Yes, director, on the 15th.
Do you have a name for that?
No, I'll send it out.
Appreciate it.
Wait until he's appointed.
Yeah.
Wait until after the 15th, because you never know.
Yes,
I wanted to know, is this for the board or is this for the DAC?
it's for the board.
It's for the board?
It is the Norton seat.
On the-
Of the board.
Okay,
Correct.
which it could have went either way, right? Couldn't it? Because they have so many Barberton, so many Norton, and then it can go either way, whatever you can get,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
know that
okay.
they advertised this for quite some time.
Mhm.
And it was in the Norton paper. I remember seeing that a couple times, and they
Okay.
finally found someone.
Thank
Yes.
you. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
because I
It
knew
is.
they needed another DAC member.
Yes.
Which they have also.
Not now. The seat that they filled is all that was open as of now.
Okay. Okay, so, the DAC was filled.
Any other miscellaneous discussion? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that, ma'am.
Yeah, we are adjourned at 6:07 PM.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Next up is Planning, Annexation, and Codes with Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call the Planning, Annexation, and Codes Committee meeting to order. It is 6:07 PM on Monday, March 6th. Here in council chambers, all members of the committee are present, which includes myself as chair, Mrs. Angeloff, Mr. Jaber, and President Greer. All other council members are present, and other guests are noted on my sheet. We have one new request for legislation, a letter from Stacy Carr, strategic planner, requesting legislation to enter into contract with Butcher and Sons for the 2023 residential demolition program. Emergency wording is requested. This was the lowest of 4 bids, coming in at $9,870. The next was $11,740, but that was not a sealed bid. Are there any questions regarding this legislation? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make a motion to call.
I will second that, ma'am.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have no current pending legislation. For a miscellaneous discussion, I did want to mention, since the active transportation plan was passed, Director Mike Tiedecke submitted a grant application last week for the Safe Routes to School, which it could take a couple months to hear back from that. But this is for a very high priority project to build missing sidewalk near the intermediate school, so that students going to and from school don't have to walk in the street. Is there any other miscellaneous discussion for planning?
Hey, Ms. Thompson, any updates on the building behind State Street, the one on Tusk? The one, any more movement on that or anything?
I haven't heard anything.
Now, that property is still considered City of Barberton's property? It has not transferred over, correct?
Where's this at?
I don't know.
Yeah, the
The
medical.
Cox Building?
Mhm.
What are you asking?
Has there been any updates or anything, or any permits pulled, or,
I don't know.
Still moving forward with that project.
Yeah.
now is that still considered City of Barberton's property, or, all right? I had somebody complain about the window, still, there's a hanging glass window on top,
Which side of the?
Tusk, I mean, yeah. You can somebody look at that. That's still considered City of Barberton's property, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other miscellaneous for planning? From the gallery? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that, ma'am.
Okay. We are adjourned at 6:10.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Next up is Finance and Personnel with Mr. Heidick.
And some good water. Give me a long
Yeah, you better.
drink up.
All right, everybody ready?
Scratch it out.
It's, are you ready?
All right, it is Monday, March 6, 2023, Finance and Personnel. It is 6:10 in council chambers. The committee is present, which consists of Councilors Coburn, Thompson, President Greer, myself as chair, all others noted. Let's dive in. First, letter from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director, requesting legislation to appropriate $500,000 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the miscellaneous general fund operation and maintenance budget. Emergency wording is requested. This is the Cox Powell building that the PO was closed. Am I correct there?
Yes. So at the beginning of the year, my department sends out a list of open POs to all departments asking what POs can be closed. That PO was sent back to us saying it could be closed. And then the very next day, we got the email saying, hey, is there any way we can reopen it? And I said, unfortunately, it's got to go back to council. We got to get the money appropriated so we can reopen that PO. So that's all that is. So.
Are there any questions on this?
Is there a time period that we're gonna keep it open again for them, or?
Yeah, I mean, it never should have been closed in the first place. Council passed a couple years ago the grant for that building. So when that grant was passed by council, we opened the PO at that point in time, and we were going to keep it open until the conditions were met to pay out that money. So it will be open until the conditions are met to pay out that money in that grant that council approved a few years ago.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, note ordinance meter reading system replacement project, $275,000. This note, the proposed budget provides for a $25,000 pay down, reduction of principal. Any questions here? Seeing none, do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Note ordinance trickling filter system at wastewater treatment plant, $75,000. This also has a budget, the budget providing for a $25,000 pay down. Any questions here? All right. Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next up is note ordinance street improvement project, $1,430,000. Let's see, this one. This is the one has a pay down of $190,000, correct, Director? Are there any questions here? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Note ordinance stormwater management system project, $350,000. This is for projects in South Barberton into the South Van Buren project.
I'll make that motion.
Well,
No questions on my part.
no
Sorry.
questions from anybody, besides how desperately we need them?
Yes.
Yes.
How excited we are to get started.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Note ordinance, front loader acquisition project, $230,000. This one has $115,000 for note proceeds and...
Skip a page?
Did I?
No.
Well, there's plenty of them, so making
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. You're right.
Okay, this one has $115,000 from note proceeds in the stormwater fund for the loader. The director has included the full amount in case we feel that we should finance the whole thing. We only want to finance what's proposed in the budget and switch this to $115,000. He's okay with that. Director, what is your preference?
I mean, yes, the legislation request was for the full amount of $230,000. we have the money in the street operating budget for the street portion of this, so 115,000. We have that available in the streets. So I'm all for issuing debt service for the least amount possible, especially with these interest rates that we're in right now. So yeah, just the 115,000 for the storm portion is all I'm going to be issuing, so, or wanting to issue, so.
So you want the 115,000 on a note,
Yes,
and you're gonna pay
And we're gonna pay
115,000
Just the 115,000 up front.
upfront.
So,
so
This-
altogether it would be 230,000, 115 from the storm, or the street fund that has the money available, and then 115 from the storm water fund with this note.
so do you prefer that, I'm okay with amending it to the 115,000.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to amend that to
I'll
115?
make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Right, so I will read that again. Front loader acquisition project note ordinance for 115,000. Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll take a quick break there, Director. We got some other ones here. Next, referred from safety, letter from Chief Morber requesting legislation to appropriate $7,500 from the One Ohio Fund to the Police Department operating account and the One Ohio Fund emergency wording requested. I believe we had this, Counselor Fry had everything
Right,
answered in this?
Mhm.
Are there any
Yes.
more questions? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next is again referred from safety, a letter from Fire Chief Iono requesting payment of $5,795.43 to the Life Force Management for EMS collection fees. Emergency wording requested. Once again, Counselor Fry's committee answered most of the questions. Are there any more? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next, letter from Jamie Eisman, Director of Safety, requesting legislation to amend the civil service rules, regulations, and procedures to add language for lateral transfers for police and fire, emergency wording requested. Director Eisman, anything to add to this? What spurred the need for this?
Thank you. Oh, well, it's no secret that it's hard to hire just about any position. And right now, we have a number of positions to fill, and we're just not getting the same amount of quantity of candidates for entrance exams. And this has become the new thing, I guess. We're just trying to play catch-up at this point. So other cities have done this. We've lost a few employees due to the same reason. So we're hoping to try and do a different way of recruiting.
Are there any questions regarding this? Thank you, Director. Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next, from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director, requesting legislation to appropriate $30,000 from the unappropriated item of the Court Special Projects General Fund 209 to the capital budget of the Court Special Projects General Fund 209, emergency wording requested. Director, anything to add to this?
Nothing really much to add. This was in the budget. If you guys look in your budget workbook, it's in the budget workbook. However, when I was putting together the budget ordinance, the budget workbook has several tabs and there's a lot of formulas, and if you add like one line item, you have to update a formula in like 5 different spots of the budget workbook, and it's just one of those things where the formula just didn't get carried over, so that's sparked the error on that. So just trying to get it corrected now so the courts can go get their vehicle whenever they find it.
Thank you. Any questions? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next, letter from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director, requesting legislation to appropriate $275,000 from the unappropriated item of the city grant fund to the planning department's operation and maintenance budget of the city grant fund. Emergency wording requested. Any questions on this? No? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next, referred from Safety, a letter from Chief Iona requesting legislation approving payment of $8,025.40 to Stryker Flex Financial for payment number 2 and 3 for heart monitors. Emergency wording requested. Any questions here that weren't answered in Safety? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next, from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director, requesting legislation authorizing the Finance Director to execute and deliver a lease purchase agreement with KS State Bank for $192,799. Emergency wording requested. And this is for the 2024 Kenworth T4E cab chassis and snow and ice control package. Am I correct, Director?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions there? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next is referred from Parks, a letter from Don Patterson, Director of Barberton Parks and Recreation, requesting legislation to appropriate $126,982 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the Parks Maintenance Capital Budget of the general fund to replace the vandalized play structure. Are there any questions on this that haven't been answered? Do I have a motion to call for this?
Wait.
What? I'm sorry, Counselor?
I know we had a lot of conversation about College Park.
Mhm.
And then that was changed to just to replace the vandalized play structure. So this ordinance that we have doesn't specify that that playground being replaced will be at College Park. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is just appropriating the money from the insurance payout to the proper funds.
It's the only question I had, because the letter, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to call for this? I'm sorry.
See you back there.
Oh, yes.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So where would the equipment for College Park go?
Well, with this legislation, because it was an insurance payout, we have to appropriate the money first. Once the money is appropriated, then the Parks Department and I believe the Planning Department have to take up, because it is a new construction, they have to take up the necessary steps to decide how it's built, where it's built, all those things. This piece of legislation is just making sure the money is in the proper funding, right, at this point.
Okay, so will there be will there be more added to the park?
Once,
Just gonna leave it plain?
well, once it goes to the Parks Commission and the Planning Commission, there would have to be legislation brought to us for the actual purchase of the playground equipment. This is just moving the money to where it has to go. We have no purchase agreement for any piece of equipment whatsoever at this point.
So why wouldn't you replace what was there? I mean, it was an act of violence that took the equipment away.
Because unfortunately, I wish we could just do that. The charter does specify certain steps that we have to take, unfortunately, by going to the different commissions to make sure that the proper protocol and steps are followed. Counselor?
If I may, Mr. Hyde.
Mhm.
This is just putting the money into an account. We received a check from the insurance company We have to cash that check, so we're putting it into the account. It has to go,
College Street or a big account?
no, just the parks, like just an account. Then the planning and the Parks Commission will have to vote on where they want to spend that money, what's going on, and it has to be approved by the Planning Commission. So there are steps. This is just depositing that check, so the money's there, and then there's more conversation after that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor and Director Flaker, if this insurance paid out before the budget was passed, would it theoretically have been the budget and this piece of legislation never even have to come to us? Thank you. Counselor?
And there's a meeting this Thursday for the Parks Commission. This is where you can talk about your concern. That way we can keep the park there. And a couple other residents and yourself. And Mr. Griffin, hopefully you'll be there too this Thursday to hear your concerns and any questions. That's after it gets through Parks Commission, then we'll go through Planning Commission. And from there we can keep it going.
Excuse my tardiness. My
No,
name
no,
is Jean Marie.
by all means.
I host events at that park. I am very concerned. I'm very concerned because where do the kids go? We're trying to keep them off the streets. Now you don't have them nowhere to go. They'll be back on the street. So I'm just trying to figure it out.
To Counselor Jaber's point, the Parks Commission can do nothing until we pass. The Parks Commission can do nothing until we pass this to give them the money to even have their conversation. If we don't move forward on this, nothing, the money just sits there and we can't even talk about it.
Okay. I'll see you Thursday.
Thank you. Ma'am?
We're at on Thursday, he said College Street. College, I can't pronounce.
The parks.
The Parks Commission,
The parks.
At the Adult Center.
it's at the Active Adult Center.
At 4:30.
Okay,
YMCA.
thank you.
Mhm.
There's many parks around here, but there's not many restaurants. Let's go. I'm sorry.
No.
Let's go.
By all means, thank you much.
I'll make a motion that we call for this.
Thank you,
I'll second.
thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is, again, referred from Parks, letter from Director Patterson requesting legislation to, excuse me, to change order for $2,280.98 with Paragon Concrete. Counselor Jaber's Parks Committee answered most of the questions. Are there any more? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Director, care to share with us the finance report?
All right, starting off with the health insurance fund. If you look for the month of February, our revenues were $411,000. There is a typo. The expenditures are incorrect. That $442,000 is actually the year-to-date, not the month-to-date. The month total expenditures was just about $82,000, making the unexpended fund balance $2,096,000. Net year-to-date, a positive $358,000, almost $359,000. Moving on to the income tax fund, our estimate for the month of February was $975,000. Actuals came in at $1.6 million. It gives us us over our estimate by $690,000. I do want to mention that part of that number is skewed a little bit just for the main fact we received a JED payment from the city of Norton. There was one business in the city of Norton that's in the JED district that when there was that whole conversion from CCA to RETA, Norton transitioned at the same time as us. RETA thought it would be best to create the JED as a separate taxing district just to keep better tabs on all the businesses. Well, when all this transferring was going through, this one business got under the Norton tax code instead of the JED tax code. So Norton wasn't paying us money for on that business in the JED, with it being in the JED agreement. So RETA found the mistake. RETA notified Norton, and Norton cut us a check to fix that error. So There was a $170,000 payment this past month from the city of Norton to correct that. So that's bumping up the totals in the revenues in the income tax fund. But we did handle a lot of transfers, as you can tell at the bottom. We did started the transfers to the general fund this month, started the transfers to the street operating. We did all the transfers to the emergency reserve and all the other transfers that were listed to the infrastructure improvement reserve fund, the sidewalk fund. I think there was one for the sports operating complex. So we got all those transfers out of the way. The only two funds that we still need to transfer money to, general fund and street operating, which the street operating will probably get transferred. We'll get those transfers knocked out here soon. And then the general fund will be the only one left to get the transfers done throughout the year. So moving on to the statement of cash receipts and disbursements. We have a couple funds in the negative. It's the two usual, the FEMA fund and the CDBG fund. Both are federally funded grant programs that once we expend the money, we can submit for reimbursement on those two items. Continuing on to the last 3 months of activity, the general fund has went down slightly from last month to this month. Just more disbursements this past month. If you notice, the disbursements were 2.4 million, almost 2.5 million, compared to last month where they were 1.9 million. So it's just more disbursements this past month than in previous months. Special revenue funds is actually up by about $1 million. Enterprise funds has stayed about the same for the past 3 months. All other funds has stayed about the same as well. Comparing last February to this February, our general fund is up. A lot of that has to deal with the ARPA funds and reimbursing the general fund with the lost revenue from the ARPA funds. Special revenue funds is down by about 1.3 million. Enterprise funds is down by about $1 million. All other funds is up by about $300,000. Overall, the unencumbered cash balance is up from this time last year. So, any questions?
Thank you for your time, sir. Awesome work.
Thank you, Director. Do I have a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, miscellaneous discussion. Is there any from the committee? From the body? From the gallery? Yes, ma'am.
Am I either one of them, the gallery,
You
or
are,
whatever? Okay.
you are the gallery.
I have two things. Can I do them both? The seat that was removed, which should have been removed from one of the parks. Tuscarawas Parks. I go to many parks. I don't know when you say park, which park. Tuscarawas Park. It was by the basketball and the tennis court. It was removed, but I was wondering if they were going to bring it back and if they were going to reposition it in a better place. Because right now, you know, it's right there like, let's say you're the basket. Well, the seat's right there. So when I throw the basket and if I miss, it might, well, it almost did hit me. So that's what I'm saying. That's what made me notice how the seat deteriorated. Not just with me on it. So
That's why it's removed. That's probably why it was removed, for them to.
yes, ma'am. I need to know if it's going to be put back and when and do we have plans? Because we still participate at that park, one of those parks, and sit there.
Mayor, do we have any update on that? If there's money available to refurbish it, to place
I'll
it?
have to look and see why it was removed, and it could have been to be refurbished.
Okay, right. Okay, that's what I was telling my friend. It takes time with city works, but you know, you do
Excuse me.
your job. You start it up but don't finish it. Well, no, I'm here to finish it.
Yeah, so it'll be replaced, exactly where, I'm not sure.
Right, well, I just think somewhere around there, but we do thank you very much. I got one more.
By all means.
I'm still on that kick, we need a restroom over there at Lake Ann. There's many times I've caught myself walking. Oh no, I have to go to Taco Bell or Mark's or I don't know if they'll let me in if you don't buy anything. But I'm one of those old-fashioned people. I'm not gonna go into your house unless I know you or I'm the delivery man. So I still think we need a restroom down there. I've been to many parks with restrooms. They're portable restrooms. They can be set up to look nice. You're gonna need a restroom. And I'm not saying female and male. I'm just saying a handicap portable, if you wanna call it toilet. I don't know the exact proper words, I'm sorry, but I know what a park is. So I wish somebody would check in. What's the FEMA money for?
Well, the FEMA money is for buying up houses that are in flood zones so that they can be demolished. But to your point, the ARPA money, we have used some for a study at Lake Anna that should be moving forward. We've dedicated quite a bit of money to upgrading that park, and hopefully we'll see some fruition of that soon. Unfortunately, because it's government property, it moves at a pace as fast as the government works.
Lake is government property, or what's government property?
The city owns it, so.
Oh, that's the government.
Yes.
Okay.
So unfortunately, there has to be so many steps involved.
Oh, yeah,
and-
it's a government thing.
Yes.
I used to work for the government.
But as
There's a
the mayor.
procedure you have to follow.
Yeah. As the mayor could tell you, that the ARPA money, we have an extensive, best I can say, a slideshow, because the word's escaping me, of proposals of how to upgrade Lake Anna. And
When is it
things
gonna
could,
happen? Because you know cherry blossoms coming, all that stuff's coming.
there is no more cherry blossom.
There's no cherry blossom.
No.
Well, they do have festivals, don't they?
Yes, the Mum Fest in particular,
I
but
thought they had the rib festival. What do I know? I don't eat ribs. I don't eat nothing. I still stay fat.
Mr. Mayor?
So the restrooms that are at Lake Anna now, we'll have open during the summer months. We do have an employee here at the city building, and part of his job responsibility is to kind of oversee and maintain Lake Anna as well. With the weather the way it's been kind of crazy, and don't want to open it and when it's really bad weather out, because there's a lot of vandalism and those types of things. The restrooms that were put in, that was in 90 or 91, in the computer center. So we get a lot of issues. The bathrooms should really be street level, because there's a grinder pump and they always get blocked up with rags or diapers or what have you. So it doesn't make it up to the street. It's got to pump it up to the street. So part of that study was to, let's see how we can put those restrooms up on ground level, street level. So that's still.
You don't even have to hook it to the, whatever you call the sewer.
And we've made use of porta pots in the past.
Right. And they've had nice porta pots at the park out there at Carnegie and Manchester Road. I go in there and it's big enough and there's enough light and, well, I'm an idiot, I walk, but I do need to go to the restroom. Or if not.
So we are looking at purchasing 2 restrooms, similar to what you see at Metro Parks.
Right, I'd like to, okay, men and women,
I
female
believe
and
so.
male.
They're permanent, but they're not like brick or anything. So they're just kind of like one unit, they're just kind of set down.
Okay, well, you know what, it's get what you can. If I'm not happy, I'll be back. Not to say to change that, but we have many parks I walk at, I make a mistake and hit them. But I don't want to go in the store to go to the restroom. And another thing, you do have that problem with homeless. Now, I know you don't, I could be mistaken, but I don't believe you really want to address it like you should as a city of Barberton. And I don't have all the answers, but one of them is, some of those ladies are homeless. What was it? It was nice the other day, late at night, and my friend, we walked around. We couldn't go to the restroom. You know, it could be light there, you know, but there's things could be done, but yeah, I still cry on that. I need a restroom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Director?
I just wanted to announce, if you had not heard yet, that the police department did figure out and solve the numerous complaints they had received about the mysterious noise that was occurring on Saturday nights, usually in the evenings. It had been ongoing since mid to late January. So I just wanted to let you know that they took care of that, and the mysterious boom should not be happening anymore. So, right.
It didn't have nothing to do with the railroad, did it?
No, it did not.
I've heard it too, because I sat out late at night. I'm a house patrol. I don't trust two-legged people, two-legged animals like that. So I'm on the house patrol. We have cameras, but you have to know who you're looking for. If you go dressed like that, you know it's you. But if you go dressed like I'd like to go dressed, you wouldn't know it's me. I'm in all black. So camera, so camera ain't gonna tell you nothing. It's my eyesight, people deny it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, for the update. Counselor?
Thank you. Real quick, Ms. Heisman, was that fireworks causing that? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Back in the corner.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Patrice Benson. This is my first time here.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Just wanted to say I'm kind of new to the area, and I was invited by Mr. Bart Jarvin. I've been here, and I love the community, so I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. You've been a great help to me. I initially lived at the corner of Hopkinton on 5th Street, and then we had to kind of move in an emergency situation because they sold the house before I could buy it. But just wanted to tell you thank you so much for what you guys are doing in this area, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Well, we appreciate you coming by tonight. Seeing nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:43.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. That concludes our individual committee meetings for this evening. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to try to fix the live stream. It froze.
No.
So it may be a little longer than 5 minutes, but we'll be back.
I've been done. I would go on.
What's that?